This is Kobe Bryant, known to the world as one of the greatest guards to have ever played the beloved sport of basketball. Known to his peers to be extremely hardworking and dedicated to his craft. Known to his family as a loving father and husband. He dedicated 20 years to professional basketball and approximately 30 years to the sport. He led himself as a marker and example for those who were able to witness an instant of what striving to master a craft is like. The fruit of what repetitive and consistent commitment to a task can manifest, even more so when you strive through adversity, doubt, and lack of faith with whatever trial stands before you. And it would have not been possible without your assistance and cooperation. This is true for all of our heroes, whoever they are, wherever they come from. None of their greatness witnessed would have been possible without your help. Please, let me explain. The best society to live in is one where you are always at peace, making decisions about your day-to-day activities based on long-term fulfillment and service instead of survival and fear. Hindrance as a concept existing only at an individual level instead of anything greater and seemingly unsurmountable. And if your goals were to not be met for whatever reason, there is no long-term resentment or hesitancy with trying again or at some other goal. An unstable society is antithetical to this principle, be it from a volatile economy fueled by greed or from not performing just equivalent service to your marital partner, or from defrauding your peers in government instead of putting in the proper work. All of these factors and many more generate loss for the society around you and, of course, harms yourselves. Achieving great feats becomes more difficult and uncommon in unstable environments. Instead of working on whatever long-term ambition that you had for yourself, you are severely tempted to stick to and focus on basic subsistence. This methodology has little flexibility in decision-making and life planning. It simply isn't living. The people in this state would more than likely have to stay in such a condition for quite some time. Historically, this was a generational problem, where the family would stay at one station or caste. Transitioning out into another, more preferable rank involved great risk to one's survival, so few ever tried and fewer succeeded. This way of life generally played out in two ways. One, it led to long-term stagnation in the land. This came with a myriad of risks like being invaded by other predatory nations or being outpaced economically by new innovations. Second, it would lead to blood and conflict. Crime is a constant among people without, and all of it is tragically completely unnecessary. Criminality is causally linked to the lack of opportunity to simply develop oneself and support their family. Historically, and even contemporarily, this condition would lead to revolutions and coups, both of which purges life to solve its problem. The way to a stable, peaceful existence is from service to yourself, marital partner, and people first. Afterwards, the next step to development is righteous competition against the deficiencies in oneself, then with the people in whatever discipline of your choosing, all of which while binding yourself to a proper ethical and moral conduct. A very respectable career in society is becoming a medical doctor or physician of some classification. Their task is to diagnose and solve health issues within the patients who visit them. However, there are some paths that are not as admired as the medical field, like waste disposal or plumbing. Their task is to dispose of waste material that is produced from our consumption. Believe it or not, this position is more pivotal to the health and wellness of society. First, good hygiene publicly and domestically is necessary for staving off disease, particularly when it comes to the handling of fecal matter. Poor handling of such would have seriously hazardous results. A historical example is the cholera outbreak in England during the 1800s, where poor handling of sewage gripped London at the time. But that was an easy one. A less obvious example is in an emergency situation. Let's say that a large contingent of these service members decided to change professions into something more commonly respected. Their absence would cause many fatalities. If these garbage men were not there, the leftover waste would pile up to the point where it would be a hindrance to movement. An ambulance and transportation runs the risk of losing their patient. There are numerous examples in life like this, where a more prestigious position would be considered the foundation of the system, when in reality it is a variable of a plenitude of variables in the ecosystem of humanity. Picking professions for vain reasons puts a strain on the entire human experience and makes things more difficult than necessary. Tasks that allow us to serve each other are left vacant, while the ones that we believe will make us more acceptable will become oversaturated. It would be like the human body with too much sugar and carbs and not enough protein, vitamins, and water, out of balance. The most important factor in this equation: there is no gain without unity. A population with a high ratio of diverse skill sets to work allows us to solve day to day problems with the most efficiency, highest quality, and generate the greatest possible amount of amenities for all of us to enjoy. It has the added benefit of saving time when a large number of people participate, time, of course, being an invaluable resource that can only be preserved, not harvested. This is foundational to greatness for all. However, human character traits that many of us possess stand in direct opposition to this virtue. It is truly one of the most harmed of the three listed here. So numerous the examples that can be used that it will require multiple videos to give a proper breakdown of what they are and how they are a hindrance. A few notorious ones are greed, pride, envy, and suspicion. At the bedrock, unity begins at the individual level. All persons must look inward to see in what ways they contribute to the decay witnessed before, around, and after us. All actions may appear in the moment to be benign, but it sets the potential future for literally all people around you, both seen and unseen. Principle is the foundation in which our actions must be guided by. Its definition in action means regardless of what material gain you could receive or momentary reduction in or nullification of risk that you notice, one must never breach one's own code of conduct. Divine, ethical, and moral conduct must be the composite interwoven within it. An example of this principle is treating those the way you would like to be treated. Critically, those who are in agreement with the principles that the community has agreed to must work together with each other primarily over those who are not. The reason is simple: the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Unity has a synergistic multiplier effect. The more heads diligently working, the greater and faster the results. It also has an inverse. Associating excessively with those who are in disagreement has a counter-synergistic effect on whatever is being worked on, and those who are must pick up the lost load, placing strain on the whole project or community. That is not to say that you can't have friendly, peaceful social relations with those who are in disagreement, provided they have a baseline of moral and ethical conduct. It is to state that in order for groups to be maximally productive, everyone has to be in agreement with the methodology and goal at hand. Which is more powerful, a fly or the sun, a bee or the moon, a worm or gravity itself? Neither are. They both are equal in power and worth, provided they complete their task and purpose. If either of them deviate, no one gains anything and the result would be devastating. Blessings could be lined up for us but are being hindered causally by the mentality of the people in the environment. But because we are part of the said people in the same environment, we must participate just as the peers around us must. In order to receive the heaven promised to us, it is important that we diligently and dutifully work with each other. It is in our best interest, it ensures greatness for all.